Hey Google, play the podcast Bumping Into Walls.
This is Bumping Into Walls, a show about living with vision loss, the challenges, the successes, and the day-to-day walls we all bump into.
For this episode, we are going to be talking about smart speakers. With me, I have my co-hosts Anthony and Kathy. Hello.
Hello, and I hope that it isn't just the speakers that are going to be smart.
Yeah,
Hey.
hopefully we can exhibit some smarts as well.
Okay, so Jesse, you have some actual experience with said speakers. I guess we have to be a little bit careful about saying the name of said speakers, otherwise we might start some things happening in people's living rooms and kitchens.
Yes, well, and because you never know, people might be listening to us on smart speakers, and that would just be messy. So yes, for this reason, I tend to refer to that. You can call it the Amazon Echo, but and now we've just set off everyone's device that's set to respond to the word Echo.
Well, is it as simple as saying the word of that name, or do you have to actually say something along with it to start it off?
Nope. So in the case of
Because the ones that
in the case of the Amazon one, as many people refer to her, the A lady. All you have to do is say, "A lady, what's the time?" or whatever. You just have to say her name, and then she immediately wakes up and starts listening.
Because the other one you have to actually normally say "Hey," Google.
Yeah, so in the case of that one, yes, you have to say "Hey" first.
Normally.
But or okay, you can also get away with saying okay. And then sometimes you can say things like egg noodle, and that has been known to work. But
Now
with the Amazon
let's not
one-
worry too much about how to start it. Let's
Yeah.
let's actually talk about what it can do for us, because we could probably spend an hour talking about how to start it. And
We're still not further ahead, so let's find out how we do this, man. It's all good.
It's all right, because I think a lot of people are still probably even a week later recovering from New Year's. So
yes, precisely.
Can Google and the other guy
Oh,
get you their
careful
drinks?
of the saying names.
Can the G person and the A person go get you your drinks?
Well, no, I think the more important thing is hoping that
They can give you a recipe.
or hoping that in fact they aren't listening in on your New Year's escapades. But so essentially, I mean, there's a lot of players in this market now, or at least 3 or 4 of them now. But the 2 top ones are probably the Google Home line of products and the Amazon Echo line of products. And I own a Google Home Mini, which is the smallest Google Home.
But there's a whole suite of products. If I have one of these smart devices in my home, now a lot of the things that I might be using it for, I know in my kitchen I could just call up a recipe, for instance. That would be a probably pretty simple use of it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I also understand that as a person with vision loss, it might be really helpful to have it made to set my oven temperatures and things like that.
Even just to touch on the recipe thing, the thing I like especially about how Google handles recipes is it will give you the option to tell you each, whether it's giving you the instructions or the items that you want to include in your recipe, the ingredients. It can give you each instruction, and then you make that instruction, and then you prompt it to go on to the next instruction. So instead of spitting a recipe out at you, or you having to try and wash your hands to go consult that piece of Braille paper or Braille device, you just tell Google when you're ready for the next instruction. Which I think is a really cool kind of implementation of that. And then to speak to your other point, Kathy, is that yes, probably the most popular use of these smart speakers is that you can purchase smart devices to go in your house, smart lights, smart ovens, smart microwaves, smart thermostats, and control all of these devices with the Google. I've even seen it to the point where people can set up scenes and scenarios with them and say, I'm leaving home, and it will turn off all the lights and readjust the thermostat and in some people's cases turn on a radio somewhere and turn on a light so that way if potential burglars wander past, it'll look like someone's home, and all sorts of stuff like that.
Or turn on your security camera so you can watch your house being robbed.
Smart, yeah.
That's
the smart cameras and everything, so you can keep track of what's going on at your house.
So how do you know which device is going to be the best for you? What does the Google do that the Amazon doesn't? Or what are they known for doing?
So, it depends what you're using it for. The Google is generally better at getting you information, because Google's kind of the keeper of information. That's what they're in the business of doing. They're in the business of data.
Well, yeah, they are going to get into Google faster.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. The Echo, again, it's really great for buying things, because of course it's made by Amazon, so it's a breeze to tell Amazon to reorder you toilet paper or whatever it might be, or place an order for something.
Buy flowers for girlfriend or something.
Yeah, anything that Amazon ships, you can order on your Echo, and you can even have it set up that it simply asks for a 4-digit voice code from you to confirm that purchase, and bam, it's ordered, and then it can even let you know when it's set to deliver.
Now, touching on both of those things, I was in a conversation with a couple of friends a few weeks ago about smart speakers because I knew we were going to be talking about this on the show, and they each told me a story about experiences with smart speakers. One of them told me that he was in a conversation with his wife about their finances and what they were planning on doing with their finances, when suddenly their Google Home spoke up and joined the conversation.
Oh,
jeez.
And you can imagine how shocked they were. After giving it some thought and further conversation with each other, they realized that what had been happening was that over the preceding weeks, they had been talking about their finances and what their plans had been for their financial planning, and their smart speaker had been on and had been listening in on their conversations, gathering information. And these devices are computers and are geared to learn, pretty much the same way that my tablet computer is geared to learn. It learns from my using it, and this smart speaker computer also learns from your using it. And so it took all their information that they were talking about of their finances and computed it and went on searches on the internet and came up with some financial planning information for them that they hadn't asked for.
So how do you solve that problem?
What they came up with was to keep the smart speaker turned off when they didn't actually need it, so that it couldn't listen in on them.
Yeah, well, and the nice thing is, because there is a lot of concern about that sort of stuff, and there's been stories and stuff like that. that these devices are fitted with. Well, I mean, ultimately, you can unplug them, but they've also, they've all been fitted with a switch or a button of some sort where you can mute the mic.
Yeah.
So,
Like, this is not the first story that I've heard
Mhm.
of. It's just the first story that I've heard of from someone I actually know.
hmm
Now, the other story is even freakier. This was a friend of my friend, but they were sitting out watching stars. They're fully sighted people, and they are avid stargazers. And they happen to say that it would be nice to have a certain telescope. And they mentioned the exact telescope that they happen to like. And lo and behold, their Amazon smart speaker ordered it for them on Amazon.
Wow.
Now, because it was Amazon, they were able to return it, but they didn't. All that was necessary was for them to mention the make and model, and their smart speaker did the search for them and found it for them and ordered it. Now, the problem is that as a blind person, this sort of thing can be happening and you're not actually aware of it, that things are happening on the screen that we can't see. What do you think of that, Jesse?
I don't know. It's tough because I think these things are designed to be trying to give as much audible feedback as they can. And the nice thing is, if you are blind, and especially if you're worried, any of these devices that have screens on them, you can actually enable a screen reader on them as well, which can help with that. Because then not only are you getting the audible feedback from the speaker itself, but any changes on the screen are going to get spoken out as well.
Yeah, it's just that, the point was made, though, that when we were in discussion, because it was a discussion with a bunch of people with vision loss that we were having, and it really was that these smart speakers do put things up on television screens. They can buy movies for you on your TV. What if they buy a movie that you don't want?
Yeah, well, it is tricky, and I think it becomes a bit of a trust thing. Which is tough because it's like, do you really want to trust these things? How do you know that they're only doing what I'm asking it to do and nothing more? And I know that that's what a lot of the concern is out there.
I they are handy, and I think they can be very helpful. And like you said, they can turn the lights on. And now it's like, how do you know the lights are off?
Don't ask your 2-year-old.
Yeah, no, that doesn't work.
But, I think that they can be very, very handy. But what if it malfunctions and turns your oven on when you're not expecting it to be turned on?
Yeah, well, because unfortunately, when something cool gets developed or created, there's going to be people who use it for good uses, and then there's going to be people who use it for nefarious uses. And unfortunately, we have to be willing to sit down and recognize all the good things that this new technology can do, but we also have to be aware of the not so good things that all this new technology.
So now that I've looked at the evil side, let's look at some more of the good things.
There we go.
You're listening to Bumping into Walls.
So what are some of the good things that you've used it for, Jesse?
So you talk about kitchen. I really do like it in the kitchen because, well, I mean, you got your phone with Siri and whatnot, which is also its own personal assistant, but. I remember when I started in foods class, cooking in the kitchen, trying to deal with my settable button talking timer / stopwatch thing, and reading recipes and stuff like that. Now my hands can be focused on the cooking, and I can just shout out all of my commands. What's the recipe for this? Set a timer for this long, and if I did have a smart oven and all of that, then I could even go further with that.
The next step is bring me a glass of milk.
Yes, exactly. That would be well. Hopefully, if Amazon ever makes a fridge, I could imagine that being handy. Because even going back to as a blind person, it would be nice to get that. You're almost running out of this. Would you like me to reorder it? Or this has reached its expiry date. Would you like me to reorder it?
But isn't that already available with refrigerators?
I think some fridges have technology kind of like that. And, a lot of companies are making products now that you can tie into your phone and into these Amazon devices and everything.
Yeah.
But that's been a handy feature. Or, again, my ability to, to control it for him as well when he's staying over. I mean, I think my grandparents have grasped the concept of, ask it to play such and such. But there was a while there when I first got my Google, when if I was out for the evening and they were watching him, right around about his bedtime, I would just open the companion app for that smart speaker on my phone and remotely tell the smart speaker to start playing his music. And then I could maybe send an announcement message saying, "Good night, Sid, I love you," or something to that effect.
Aw,
That's sweet.
Mm-hmm.
that's nice.
The funniest was probably that my grandparents used to like to sort of thump on the floor to get your attention, or call down the stairs, come up for breakfast, come up for breakfast. And then when they got their smart speaker and they'd set it up for the first time, obviously I'd tied myself into it because I was smart. And they were calling down the stairs, "Come up for breakfast, come up to for breakfast," thumping on the floor, and all of a sudden, I must have scared both of them to death, because all of a sudden, out of this, little speaker on their kitchen table came, "I'm coming."
Okay, so when you're doing it for your lights, you have to get a device to attach to each light in order for it to work?
Yeah, so it depends how there's different ways you can do about it. And a lot of the main ones, smart bulbs is a thing. So the idea here being that you would buy the smart bulb and screw it into the light bulb socket, and then you would just simply need to leave the light switch itself in the on position, and then you would use your smart speaker to turn on and off that light through the bulb. There's also, there are actual smart lamps and stuff you can buy, but one way, as I like to say, to make your dumb devices smart, and this works for devices with physical switches on them, is that you could actually buy a smart plug. So if you have a lamp with an on switch, or an older radio in your kitchen with an on switch or something, you would leave that switch in the on position. You would plug the smart plug into the wall, and then plug your device into the smart plug. And then you could simply use your smart speaker to trigger that on or off.
Sort of like the old-fashioned clap-on, clap-off thing.
Mm-hmm. A lot like that. A lot like that. That way of things. I remember when that was a thing, and it was all over TV.
Kids would love that.
But
well, kids did love that back in the day, I think.
my grandma's actually still got I think it's a clap-on Christmas tree.
Yeah,
And she'll be randomly sitting in her living room, and she'll go
yeah,
and scare the
yeah. Parents
scare
did love
the
them,
daylights
Anthony.
out of me. Well, they are convenient, right?
Sure.
As
Absolutely.
well as saying, "Google, turn on my lights," or again, if you're coming home. So traveling on paratransit, on Access Calgary, this is something I think about. I often, from the drivers, I often get that when they're bringing me home late at night, the it would be it would be nice if there was a light on in this house for us to find the house.
Yes.
But if you're living alone, are you really gonna, if you're going out for the day, are you really gonna leave your outside light on all day? Or with the,
I have.
yeah, and that is an option. But, I definitely think it could be nice to have, just tell my phone to tell my smart devices, my smart outside lights to come on when I know I'm getting home, and all of a sudden they can say, "Oh, that light just came on. Is that your house?" And they can make it easy to find. So these things are really nice if you're using the smart speaker in the house, but they're also nice because the smart speakers give you like a companion app that you can control them from out and about.
Well, I did hear of someone who had the idea of turning on all the lights in the house so that the pizza delivery guy could find his house more easily.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah,
that'll
then,
definitely do it.
And then turn them all off, like once he had his pizza.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And that definitely works because even if I'm having something delivered to my house, I would sometimes forget to turn the light on, and I'd open up the door and hear them driving back and forth and back and forth. And I'd turn on the light, and all of a sudden they'd hone in and find me.
Yeah. And, sometimes as a person with vision loss, it is difficult to know, as I said, whether or not the lights are on or off. And so I guess with everything, you probably need to purchase a special thermostat indicator too in order for it to work, though.
Mm-hmm. That's the bit they leave out in the Black Friday / Christmas / any other time they're trying to sell these products. When they show somebody using their device to turn on their lights or unlock the door or something. Yes. So the device by itself, the Google or the Amazon or the Siri HomePod or whatever device, can do a lot of things by itself. Make calls, set timers, tell you the weather, tell you jokes, play music for you if you have a music streaming service connected to it, any number of other things. But if you want it to control lights, thermostats, door locks, that's where you're going to need to start purchasing extra things to make that happen.
Right. See, now my thermostat is already on a timer. So, it's like, would I really want to make another purchase just to be able to change it again?
Yeah, well, and that's the thing that you got to decide. I don't have any smart devices that my smart speakers can control. Because, then you start to get into all that money. But, I know that some people have fully embraced it and their entire house is...
Yes, I've heard about that. And, but I know people that have everything that certain companies put out, just because they like to have them. So that's fine for them.
Yeah.
For me, I simply make my choices about what I'm going to have. Now, I'm not sure that I would worry about getting my stove and oven put on the Google Home, for instance, but I might have one simply to have the radio and to look things up on Google, because that I can see as a use.
Mm-hmm. And again, when you're working in your kitchen, just being able to set those quick timers and check the recipe.
Well, that's what I'm thinking of, because otherwise I wash my hands a lot anyway when I'm cooking. I'll just make sure people realize that in case you come over to my house for
as
dinner.
we all should, yeah.
But it would be handy, and certainly reading a recipe card in Braille when you're trying to cook is kind of a pain, because unlike being able to read it visually, you're reading it with your hands that you're constantly having to wipe your hand and then read the Braille. Otherwise, you're making a mess of your Braille.
And sometimes even if you are keeping your hands clean, and you think you have it on a counter as far away as what you're cooking as you can, you just never know.
You drop your egg on it.
Mhm. And
Yes.
That's the end of that.
Well, when I used to be able to read visually, I actually had a sheet protector over my visual recipe cards. So, you always try to make sure that you're keeping your surface as clean as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And yesterday, when I was making chili, I was doing it without a recipe. So,
Yeah.
you do what you can.
So since you have a little guy and he's probably figured out how to make these smart speakers work, is there a way you can only have it play certain things? Are there things you can do to... Because if he starts playing something that you don't want him to hear...
Yeah, so that's actually something I need to probably start doing because he seems to trigger things by accident. But there's settings in like the music streaming things to block explicit content and stuff. But yeah, like if you have a fully decked out house, yeah, that becomes a thing you have to worry about. If your child's running around saying, "Turn the lights on, turn the lights off, turn up the temperature," and all of this stuff. Aside from muting the mic on the device or unplugging it,
Play
yeah.
rock and roll
Yeah.
at the loudest
level you can.
volume. Disturb the neighbors.
Yeah. Well, I know my son will pick a song and then change it, or I'll pick a song that I want to listen to. I'll say it's my turn. Although, I mean, that comes with some cuteness, things he'll pick up from us. Yesterday, he had it playing Boogie Oogie Oogie.
Aww.
Of course, by accident, he asked it to play music to dance to or something, and it went on Boogie Oogie Oogie, which was super cool. And then he's in Sid speak trying to say, "What album is this?"
Aww. Aww.
And that was kind of cute, but...
Yeah. Well, in 20 years, you can tell him how cute he was. And he'll say, "Dad, don't tell me that.
Yeah, exactly.
You're embarrassing me.
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to be a grown-up here."
Yes, the videos will get shown at the wedding and the graduation party and all such other things.
And it'll all be recorded on Google Home.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, yes. Well, I want to thank you guys for joining me on this episode, and it was great to sit down and talk about the smart speakers and their great uses.
Well, we had a great time learning about it, and maybe I'll even buy one.
Yeah, maybe.
I can't, but at least I'll come to Kathy's house, check it out. You have a great day.
Yeah,
And
there you go.
have lunch.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, there you go. Lunch prepared by the Google.
See you next month.
All right, bye.
Tune in next time to see what people, places, or things we've been bumping into.
To contact Bumping Into Walls, find us on Twitter at @into_walls. Or send us an email at bumpingintowalls@gmail.com. You can also check out our website, bumpingintowalls.wordpress.com.
Bumping Into Walls is produced, edited, and hosted by
Jesse Tregarthen.
Anthony Hodges.
and Catherine McLeod.